Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Healing Train. I am your conductor or your coach, Vaughn Squires, and today we are sponsored by Spirit Source Connection. At Spirit Source Connection, we do believe that we are multidimensional spiritual beings and that we enact our supernatural power through our intuition, our visualization, our imagination, and our creativity. But today we are here because it is the healing train where ordinary people come to talk about their extraordinary stories. But we do know that everyone's trauma journey is not going to be the same, but we do know that there are some similarities. There will be ups and downs, twists and turns along the way. And so today we have a wonderful passenger here for you. His name is Mr. James Cross. And James, can you please come on here and say hello to our community?
Hey, how are you today? It's a beautiful day here in Indianapolis.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much. Now, I want to let you know that James Cross has done some amazing things in his life. He has triumphed, he has serious success going on in his life, but it hasn't always been that way. We all have challenges in our lives. And just like anything, we have to start from the beginning. So let me tell you exactly how this is going to work. As you know, I wrote a book. It's called The Energy Harvest, a spiritual model for the enhancement of your life. It's a workbook. And it talks about identifying trauma and how you move through the trauma healing journey. First, you have to identify the trauma. Then you go into the mindset, changing your mindset from trauma to healing. And then from there, you can go on and achieve wonderful things in your life. And then from there, we talk about how you actually sustain the success that you have achieved. And so that's the backdrop for the healing train. And so with no further ado, I'm going to ask Mr. Cross here if he will come on and just kind of talk a little bit about the trauma that he sustained long before the triumph and long before the success. So James, if you could come on and just please tell us what it was like for you identifying the trauma in your life.
Well, growing up in upstate New York back in the 80s, I grew up in a single parent home, but I was lucky that both my parents were still around. So I actually got to grow up and see my father up until I was 17 years old. And my mother was still a real strong part of my life. So she was probably the strongest part of my life, and then growing, go to high school, middle school and all that, growing up with dyslexia as well. So struggling through high school and not being a big fan of reading books and homework and all that in high school and all. So always worked hard though. Ever since I was young, I was always hustling and working and cutting lawns and doing all kinds of different stuff. So work always came pretty easy to me. My aunts and my other side of my mother's family, they had a farm. So I used to, work on a farm when I was younger. So I had that opportunity to, work on a farm, living in the city, still being able to go to a farm in the weekends and in the summer. So, I had a lot of different things I got to experience when I was young, camping. My dad, he lived in the projects, so I grew up in the projects. So I had to work and live in that world as well as live in another world where my mother lived in a nicer part of town, but also got to go on farm in the weekends in the summertime at my grandmother's house. So I got real versatile stuff that I got to do and a lot of good work ethic. And then growing up in upstate New York also was a lot of ethnic people, Italians, the Polish, Irish, a lot of different people, different varieties of people that came from all different countries. And I got to work with a lot of those guys through my younger years, my 15, 16, 17-year-old. I worked in a hospital and then I worked at a golf course and I worked for some guys painting and doing different things. Those guys are real hard workers. A lot of these guys came from countries with nothing and they built themselves a nice way of living. So they always taught me and told me, work hard and you get what you can achieve those things. So that was always in the back of my mind, that no one's ever going to give you anything. These guys all came from a place, here with basically nothing. Some parts of the world that, didn't have a whole lot, never have the opportunity to live in the United States, America. So, and we had really good ethnic food in that area. So I had plenty of different types of food that I grew up around. And until I left that area, I didn't really realize how much I missed and what I grew up around until I left that area. So when I was there, I used to take it all in. I love to cook. I love to, just be around people and get the ideas off other people and talk to them and stuff. Even as a young kid, I did. So I was very fortunate that I grew up around a lot of cool people that gave me a lot of good advice. You know what I mean? So I was very fortunate there, and then it brought me here to Indiana. So.
Wow, James, you know what? I always knew you were a cool guy. I always knew there was something really laid back and so personable about your character, but I didn't know exactly where it came from. But now I see you are so well-rounded, and now I see it's because you lived your life to the fullest growing up. You had an opportunity to see people that weren't doing so well, living in situations. And then you were able to contrast that with living with your mom and going to doing all kinds of other things that most kids living in New York may not have had that opportunity to do that. I'm just so excited to hear about that. Now, the one thing that I do want to talk about here, though, James, is, how did you find out that you were dyslexic, and how did it feel for you to be in class knowing that there was something different about you than the other children? How did that make you feel? I want to talk a little bit about your feelings. How did you feel about that?
Well, back then, they knew about dyslexia. I didn't really know about it when I was younger. I just knew that I didn't like to read books, that I didn't comprehend the nouns and verbs and different things like that as much as other kids, So math, arithmetic, social studies, I loved all that stuff. But when I came to English class and that reading books and writing, that wasn't my thing. So,
sure.
I learned how to survive it and get through it and pushed on. But, honestly, I don't think I've ever really read a book from cover to cover. So, flipped a lot of pages, looked at magazines and stuff. But, I learned how to jockey my way through high school and get through all that. But even then, I knew I wasn't going to go to college. College wasn't my thing. So I knew it was going to be hard work and whatever I did. So, but I listened to a lot of the guys I grew up around, and that was kind of how I got through that.
Oh my goodness, James, listening to you say that you had dyslexia, I have dyslexia. I transpose numbers. And I thought to myself, when I was trying to find a career, I heard that accountants make a lot of money. I heard that, if you want a stable career, you need to go into accounting. And I thought to myself, if I transpose some numbers and lose $1 million, I'm going to be out of a career. I'll choose a different career that doesn't expose my dyslexia. But I didn't know why I was transposing numbers, and I still do to this day. It's not something that I grew out of. It wasn't really something that I tried to treat. I just knew to stay away from numbers as a career. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Yep. And that's why I don't do a whole lot of emailing and stuff. So, that's why I let the girls take care of all the paperwork and the emails, because they're a little more organized than I am, and a hell of a lot faster at typing and everything. So,
yes.
I don't know. My mind actually moves faster, I think, than what I can put on paper. So, the thought process doesn't mess up. It's just putting it to paper, and I don't know. It's gotten better over the years, but still, that was always, when I was younger, that was an issue that I struggled with. So,
sure.
But that always made me push harder on what I was doing to prove to people that I can do what they're doing or more. So, I always tell people, college isn't for everybody. Some people are college bound, some people aren't, so.
Very true. Very true. And that leads us to the next part of our 4-phase trauma healing process, is the mindset. So your mindset around this trauma that you had, dyslexia. You said, I'm not letting this hold me back. I'm not allowing this to hold me back. And what I really enjoyed was listening to the story about the people that you encountered growing up. People who came here who couldn't speak our language, people who came here looking for the American dream. And of course, in New York, you saw a lot of that, immigrants coming into our country, wanting to make the best of themselves. And they gave you some great advice. Work hard, do your work, and you're going to be successful. And from what I have seen on your life, that's exactly what I see. I see that you had taken that to heart and you ran with that, James. And so
Yeah.
you say college isn't for everyone, and it's not for everyone. You said that you look through books and things like that to educate yourself, because there's so many ways that people learn, and not everyone learns through reading books. And so I'm happy that you said that, because there's somebody out here listening to your story and they have told that person, you need to go to college or you're not going to be successful. And you are debunking that myth right here, right now. That is not true. And so I want to know your mindset. How did you decide that you were going to move forward and not allow this challenge of dyslexia to keep you back? What did you do? Did you have people, obviously you had people in your life that supported you, but what did you do from your personal standpoint?
Well, me personally, I just, I knew that I had to work hard, and I knew that I really didn't want to work for anybody but myself. So, you get to a point where you can only make somebody so much money, or you can work for yourself and make yourself the money. So if you're going to work hard and if you want to put in the hours, and I even tell the guys that work for me, that's why there's a few guys that I'm going to probably end up, they're basically almost like partners. They're just not on paper yet, but they will be. That, if you're going to work this hard for me, you might as well either own your own business or get a piece of the business that I'm in, because that's the way I feel is, that's how growing up for me, I didn't want to work for somebody. I wanted to do my own thing. So I took a shot, and I knew that if I got the opportunity, I was going to work as hard as I could to make it happen. So there was, to me, there was no failure. I just wanted to succeed and do whatever I had to do regardless, and you just have to put your mind and your body to the test and see if you can do it. So, and most people can. You can't. You just got to grind and do what you got to do. So,
absolutely. Now, James, I have seen you. Well, when I first met you, you told me that you had driven a truck in the CDLs. You were, because every time I said I was somewhere, you always said, oh, that's Highway 91. Oh, that's Highway 81 North. And
yep.
And I'm like, wow, James, is there someplace that you haven't been, and it's just really remarkable to see that instead of giving up, instead of allowing this challenge to stop you, you found a way to make something great from your life. You found a way to say, hey, life, you're not getting me down. And you decided to do something different. And it is so awesome to see that. So awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
so that chapter of my life, I decided at one point I just needed to get out of the place I was in, and decided to get my CDL, and I wanted to see the country. So that was a way that I could see it. I was a single man at the time, so I ended up getting in my CDL and driving for a company for about 6 months, and finally decided that I wasn't making enough money. So I committed myself to a 5-year plan to pay off a truck that I bought through the same company. And that's how I started to own my own first truck. And then I bought another truck after I traded in and got my own authority, and basically bought my own truck, my trailers and trucks. I had just two, and me and a buddy of mine, we just took off hauling cars and across the country. So I got to see the country and play a little golf all over the country. And I don't know, just kind of had some fun when I was in my 20s. And that's how I kind of ended up here in Indianapolis. But, I made an adventure out of it, and I made some money at the time as well. So it was kind of a way to get away from where I was at, change of scenery, an opportunity to make some money and save some money, and then an opportunity to see the country. And if I decided to change where I wanted to stay, I could find that along the way. And and I kind of did. So I ended up on this path here in Indiana.
Awesome. That is so cool. And so, James, there's somebody out there that is in a hard place. They don't know if they want to give up or if they want to move forward. Have you ever been in that place? Have you ever been there? You're always so positive. I can never even ever see you down. I can't even imagine you down because you're always so positive. But I know everyone has that place where you had to, reach deep down inside and give yourself a talking to. Tell us about that experience. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta, step back, look at it, and change it up a little bit. When COVID came in, everybody was scared. We didn't know what was going to happen. So our restaurants, we kind of shut them down and took a step back and kind of looked to see what we could do to survive. And we changed everything to just takeout. We, maximized what we could do and minimized what wasn't going to be profitable for us and the least amount of people and what was going to flow and work the best. And that's just kind of what you have to do in life sometimes. Like, you just have to step back and change some things up. You can't, and stuff changes every year and every few years. Sometimes you just got to change it up. And, I went from trucking, I saw the writing on the wall, the price of fuel, trucks, everything was getting really expensive. So it's my time to bow out. I sold out before I couldn't get anything. And I made the right move at the right time. And I shifted into the food industry at kind of a shaky time. It was 2008 when I got into this business, and people said I was crazy, but it was either take the risk of the trucking industry or get into the food industry, which I saw an opportunity here in Indy that they didn't really have a New York style pizza here. So that's kind of what my gamble was. So I rode the gamble and it paid off. So sometimes you just gotta really kind of look at it and take the shot sometimes, but you got to be smart about it, but you also got to put 110% in too. I couldn't just put anybody in there. I was there every day, open to close, making sure it was happening, so.
Absolutely.
That's what it takes. So.
Wow. That was so awesome what you just said. And I want to tell you what I heard you just say. I heard you say you have to change your mindset. I heard you say that you can't just keep looking at things from the same perspective. You have to change it up. COVID came. That's something that we cannot control. There's always things happening around us that we cannot control. So what are you going to do? And you said, let's take a look at this. Let's adapt. Let's overcome. Let's change some things so that we can remain viable in the community and in our own lives. Because being an entrepreneur, as you know, not having anyone else's income to fall back on, you had to do that for yourself to make sure that you could still continue to thrive in a community, in an industry where COVID wiped out so many restaurants. Many restaurants didn't make it back from COVID, and they had been in business maybe even longer than 2008. You see what I'm saying? So you did a great thing. As you said, you saw the signs and you paid attention and you did what was necessary. You made the tough decision. You took the leap of faith, not knowing if it was going to work out, but you believed in you. You believed in you and your ability to work from sun up to sundown, giving it your best to make sure that it was successful. Wow. That's what I like to hear. And you just gave someone some hope, James. There's someone out there, you just gave them some hope not to give up. No matter what the environment looks like, don't give up. That's what I just heard you say. All right. Thank you so much for that. And so, guys, we were talking to Mr. James Cross here, and we've already talked about identifying the trauma, which was dyslexia for him. We talked about changing and preparing his mindset to move forward and how he went from one industry where he thought for sure that was going to be his life. And he ended up moving into another industry at a scariest time for all of us during that COVID time. And now as we move forward, we're going to be talking about the achieve section. And so now that you have gone through, identified the trauma, giving yourself a great mindset, business mind for moving forward, understanding that your journey did not include college and that was okay. Tell me about achieving all of the things that you are achieving now. Come on, don't be shy. I want you to tell us about everything that this young dyslexic boy was able to accomplish as a grown adult, overcoming those challenges, James. Tell us about that, please.
No, yeah. Well, over the years since 2008, we got out of the trucking industry and then opened up our first restaurant at about 1,100 square feet, and then we grew that. Now it's over 4,000 square feet on the south side. It's been there 15 years. Then we took a spot here in Speedway and opened that up, and now it's going to be year number 2 up here. And then we franchised 2 stores, one in Florida, one in Nashville, Indiana. And then we have a second store in Florida that opened up a year and a half ago, a little over a year ago. So, we've grown it and we're still doing it. We have a lot more we want to do. And it's all about surrounding yourself with the right people. So I have some really good people that work with me and for me. Our team is really strong, and we're always trying to grow our team. So the core is what it takes, getting the right people to work alongside you and with you. So and we're more like a family, honestly. And most of the people are family anyway. I consider them family, but I've Molly, who's my wife, and then I also have Katie, my sister-in-law, who are the main core, and then we have Tammy, who's my GM up here in Speedway, but she's been with me forever, so she's like family, almost like a sister-in-law as well. And then I got my guys that are from south of the border, family of guys, who've been with us for a long time. So we wouldn't get to this point from that first store if it wasn't for all those people along the way and that are still with us. So hopefully going forward, we got a little more growing to do. We built a commissary with an apple orchard that we bought about a year and a half ago. So that's helping us grow. So now we can make all of our product in one location, and then we can cater out of that eventually to help offset the cost of the property. And, we're always kind of looking forward, but we're also right now we're kind of looking for our out someday here in the next 5 to 6 years, where everybody can kind of slow it down a few notches and hopefully enjoy what we've built and not work as hard. So that's kind of the goal now, is we got to put a little bit more time in, but hopefully in the next 5 to 6 years we can start to slow it down a bit and chill and enjoy life, because we've all been putting a lot of hard work and a lot of time in. So that's kind of the goal that we're trying to get to. That's, I don't want to bow out completely, but we just definitely need a good vacation time, more time with our families and friends. So
Yes.
that's what we're trying to get to now. So everybody's made a sacrifice these last few years, especially since COVID. So we've done really well, but we got a little bit more to go, and hopefully in the next few years we can finish it off to where our goal is to get to, where we can downsize to what we need to do and franchise more and not have to maybe be in a restaurant as much as we are. So that's our goal for the future.
Wow.
Yeah, we've definitely been blessed, and we feel I've been blessed, and I'm blessed with the people that are around me. So I couldn't ask for a better crew of people. So I'm good.
Wow, James, that sounds so incredible. You are definitely a visionary. I've watched the business grow, and James didn't tell you the name of the business. James, will you please tell us the name of your restaurant?
Yeah, it's Brozinni's New York Style Pizzeria. Yep. So original store at 8810 South Emerson, and we have one in Speedway, Indiana, one in Nashville, Indiana, and 2 in Florida. So if anybody's in any of those locations, you can find them at brozinnis.com. So check us out. And if you're in Speedway or Indiana, stop in, check one of the stores out.
Oh my goodness. And I tell you what, my personal favorite is the 34th Street. It is delicious. It has ricotta cheese on it. It's just so wonderful. Every time I come back home, I always stop into Brozinni's for my 34th Street slice. And tell you, as we continue to move on, I want to ask you, James, because you're always so positive. You're always thinking about everyone. Your heart is so big. I want to know, James, how is it that you sustain all of this wonderful energy? How do you sustain that smile on your face? Because I don't think I've ever seen you frown. Every time I see you, you're happy, you're smiling. How do you sustain all of that?
I work on it. I do frown every once in a while, believe me, but no, I mean, you got to try to stay as positive as you can. So life is short, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, you got to get up every day and just be thankful for your health and everything else. And there's a lot of people out there in a lot worse shape than we are. So, that's kind of the way I look at it. So,
oh, yes. Gratitude.
Life's a struggle for some people. So if you're fortunate enough to, have opportunities, you better take full advantage of the opportunities you get put in front of you and run with them. So, and don't use the excuse, people use a lot of excuses, you just gotta, take any opportunity you can get and run with it. So, life is tough and it's getting tougher. So that's all I got for people out there. Just work hard and hustle and grind, and stuff will happen for you.
Sure, absolutely. And I think that you really, really hit the nail on the head when you said you're surrounded by wonderful people. People that believe in you, and people that believe in your vision, and people that are willing to sacrifice to have more. And that family feeling. I always feel like family. You guys always make me feel like family. And so I really love that. And, James, it's been such a great honor to hear your story today from the start to the finish. And I know you have inspired someone out there. There is an entrepreneur out there. There's someone who has been working for someone else, working real hard for someone else, and wants to take that next leap, but they have been afraid to do it. And you just gave them the hope that they too can work for themselves and become successful at it, and not only take care of their lives, but the lives of those around them. That is such a wonderful testament. That's such a wonderful story to tell, extraordinary story, if you will. And I thank you so much. And so, guys, here we are, another wonderful episode of The Healing Train with Mr. James Cross. And I tell you what listening to his story has definitely inspired me. So I know it has inspired you. And James, we want you to keep up the great work and, keep selling all that wonderful pizza. It's so delicious, guys. If you're ever in Indianapolis and Speedway, or in Florida or Nashville, Indiana, wherever, like he said, make sure that you go in and say hello to whomever, is at the store. You're going to get a great welcome, and you're going to get a great slice of pizza. And with that, I tell you, if you are manifesting for something in your life, I want you to keep moving forward. I want you to keep the faith, because that thing that you are working towards is on its way. Each day you wake up and put your energy towards it is just another day that you're getting closer to your manifestation. And I tell you, if you have an extraordinary story that you would like to share on our healing train, you can reach out to me. You can reach me at b.vonsquires@gmail.com, or you can dial me at 317-721-4315. And with that, guys, we're going to let you go. Have yourself a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next episode of The Healing Train. Bye.
Hey, thank you. Take care.